Hi, this is Noah Fant. You're listening to the Fantasy Football Counselor.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. We're talking Waiver Wire Week 1. Listen, everybody, Week 1 is almost here, but there's got to be a waiver wire. There's got to be some players you want to consider possibly picking up before the season starts. Now, listen, if you got my 16-round draft solution, you know who the sleepers are, and you know who some of these guys that are going to be on the waiver wire this week or week 2 and beyond, because the mainstream are sleeping on some major big names. Now, we're not going to cover all those big names here in the show, but there is a couple names you may want to consider picking up that might be available in your league that could make an immediate impact for fantasy football week 1. Now, understand, guys, a lot of these guys are good for DFS, but the first week, these rosters are kind of getting adjusted. For example, we just heard this morning that McVay is saying that the Rams is going to be a bit of a committee. They're going to ride the hot hand. I think Akers takes that job, but these guys have to get into the groove, feel it out, kind of see who prevails. That's why I like Jonathan Taylor so much, but they got to give Marlon Mack, out of respect, that start. You know, you got to understand that. So, again, week 1 waiver wire, we got to talk about some guys you may want to consider after you've done your draft that you may want to plug in or even stash on your bench because there could be some upside because there were some moves, some roster cuts, some things that adjusted. So you want to keep some of these names on your radar, guys, if you are going into week 1. Again, at least as bench stashes, okay? So let's start off with quarterbacks here. Guys, listen, understand Big Ben is going undrafted in a lot of leagues. Now, this guy was a top 2 to 3 finisher in 2018 when he was healthy in regards to fantasy points. So you're looking at quarterbacks. Big Ben's a guy you can stash as a backup on your roster. Now, as a rule of thumb, you know, with quarterbacks, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, make sure you have 3 quarterbacks. 1-quarterback league, make sure you have 2 quarterbacks to cover, obviously, potential lack of performance, bye weeks, and potential injury. So, Big Ben's a guy, again, who's available that you can stash on your bench, okay? Mitch Trubisky, good matchup week 1. You could stash him on your bench. He is slated now as the starter. There was a lot of uncertainty prior to this date now. We're first week of September here, almost going to second week here. So if you're looking at Mitch Trubisky, he is getting the start. I think they're going to ride the hot hand there. If he wins 3 games, he continues. If he craps the bed the first 3 games, he gets sidelined. So Mitch Trubisky's a guy, if you are desperate for a quarterback or even like a guy you can add for depth, Mitch is a guy you can consider. Phillip Rivers and Gardner Minshew are also names you could consider picking up as bench stashes and even potential starts in week 1. Again, listen, great value, tons of upside. These guys could finish top 10, but we're completely going undrafted and not on people's rosters, okay? Moving on to running back, there is some running backs that could give you some immediate value. From what we hear, James Robinson on the Jacksonville Jaguars is getting a start. He's unlikely to be available in your leagues, but if he is, pick him up. Devin Ozigbo is also possibly available in your leagues. You might want to consider him. But again, if you got the 16-round draft solution, if you're following my strategy, there's a lot of people talking about all these running backs that you could pick up, the Chase Edmonds of the world and Bryce Loves. If you followed my strategy, you're loaded at running back. You don't really need these guys, but if you have room on the bench and you want to get rid of a weak link on your bench, stash some of these guys. You never really know, right? All right, so Bryce Love's another guy you could consider stashing. Chase Edmonds, Nino Benjamin. I like Nino Benjamin a little bit more. He should be available in most or all of your leagues unless you drafted him. Listen, Nino Benjamin's a guy. He did make the cut. He was a 7th-round pick. He is a hometown hero out of Arizona State. He's got a nose for the end zone, and I think Chase Edmonds is going to be phased out. Now, Drake, I'm not really sold on. I think they're going to work in Chase Edmonds, but Chase Edmonds is good, but I don't know if, Kingsbury's a guy that likes these older backs, these guys that have been in the system for a while. Eno is young. He's dynamic. And I think Eno Benjamin could get some work this year. Make sure you consider picking him up. Joshua Kelly, he should be available in some leagues. If not, he was drafted in some more competitive leagues. You should consider picking him up. I think this guy's going to get a ton of work, especially near the goal line. We're already hearing reports that he is going to get some work. Listen, this isn't a surprise to me. I told you guys, make sure you guys look at Joshua Kelly, a guy that will get some volume. With Melvin Gordon being gone and Eckler not being a full workhorse running back, Joshua Kelly's a guy you got to make sure is on your rosters. Also, take a look at Boston Scott. It looks like the Eagles are really confident with Miles Sanders. Listen, Miles Sanders is great, potentially. They didn't bring in anybody else as of now. There is some lingering free agents still available that might end up there with the Eagles. But as of right now, Boston Scott will get some work when Miles Sanders needs a rest. So obviously, as of right now, September 8th, right? It seems like the Eagles believe in their running back committee. Hopefully it continues to stay that way. Other guys you want to consider is Chris Thompson. Not really excited, but a guy you may want to consider. A.J. Dillon as well. I like him as a bench stash. From what we're hearing, he's going to be an RB3 on the team, but definitely look for this guy to emerge mid to late season. And Daryl Williams, a guy that's going to get some work there, especially for the pass protection for Pat Mahomes when needed, and probably on some early downs. Daryl Williams is going to come in along with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire drops the ball, fumbles, can't handle the pressure of the NFL, look for Daryl Williams to take a step up until Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets into the groove, okay? Moving on to a couple wide receivers. Don't have too many here, but if you don't have Chase Claypool, make sure he's on your roster. Bryan Edwards really emerging in camp with the Raiders, and Allen Lazard, clear-cut wide receiver 2 as of right now for the Packers, and there's a ton of upside there. Now, again, if you got 16 rounds, you know who these sleepers are, and make sure you guys get them. Now, Robbie Anderson, I don't know if he's going to be available in your leagues, but I definitely love this guy for some boom or bust weeks. He's got a good matchup this week in week 1, and he's a great DFS play on certain weeks where he could potentially boom, okay? Now, in regards to tight ends, I'll give you guys a tight end you could consider picking up here that nobody's talking about is Devin Asiazzi. Devin Asiazzi was an early NFL draft pick for the Patriots. Now, one thing I know about the Patriots is they definitely do know how to draft tight ends, and we definitely know that Cam Newton likes tight ends, okay? So when you look at Devin Asiazzi, why not? Huge bench stash with some upside, okay? Another guy that could be available in your leagues is Jack Doyle. He was coming off super late in drafts, or not at all in some drafts. Definitely a guy you want to consider. Again, when you look at the tight end position, you want to make sure that you have 2 tight ends that could potentially break out on your bench instead of investing an early draft pick on a tight end. I keep going back to that example a couple years ago. A lot of people went with Gronkowski round 1. And I was getting George Kittle round 10. And who outperformed who that year? It was George Kittle. Now George Kittle is coming off in the 2nd or 3rd round. And Gronkowski could have a big year, but the guy just does not stay healthy. That's the problem with him, okay? So listen, we are here. The football season's here. I'm excited. I implore you guys, you got to stay sharp on this waiver wire. It's very, very, very important to win your leagues. Now, I had people come to me and say, well, Joe, I got this perfect roster. My team was good, but I ended up getting 4th place or 3rd place or 4th or 6th place or whatever. Why? Well, were you sharp on the wire? Well, yeah, kinda. Well, no, you got to be laser sharp, okay? Some leagues allow waiver wire pickups anytime. Like, depends on your league. Some people allow waiver wire like first thing Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, whenever it is, right? Typically, it's like, when is it? It's like Wednesday morning, I believe it is, or Tuesday morning. Either way, your league, every league is custom, okay? I will be releasing a waiver wire episode every Tuesday morning right here. So make sure you guys are following this page every Tuesday morning. So again, Wednesday morning is usually when they go through, and you got to be sharp on that waiver wire, because I'm telling you guys, people are going to snipe those players that you want that could be league winners at the end. You never know who could break out. There's a ton of names. We saw this happen with Phillip Lindsay a couple years ago. You got to watch out. Like a perfect example this year is Eno Benjamin. Everyone's sleeping on him, but when he breaks out, and if he breaks out, I'm telling you, everyone's going to be on top of that, and you should be too. And again, you got to make sure that the situation is good. If you have an FAAB budget, free agent acquisition budget, make sure you spend it wisely. Don't spend it in week 1, and don't buy that recency bias of a player, because sometimes some people have 1 week wonder weeks. Everybody jumps on the waiver wire, spends their entire budget on that player, and then what happens at the end? The guy doesn't do anything for the entire season. So you got to watch out for those fake waiver wire pickups, because they can really screw your budget up for the entire season, or even waste a waiver wire priority for you. So you don't want to do that, okay? So again, guys, fantasy football is here. So the schedule is going to be like this. We typically do a recap show and a Monday night preview here on Monday night, right? Or Monday morning, we do a show. Tuesday, I typically do like a recap of Monday. Wednesday is typically waiver wire. Well, Tuesday I do a waiver wire. Wednesday I kind of do like a, like a Q&A type thing. So Tuesday's waiver wire. Wednesday's like a Q&A. Thursdays are a preview show. Saturday I do a DFS. I might take Friday off, still debating. And Sunday, guys, I do a last minute kind of like Q&A, and I do like a last minute live here, which I'll post here for you, last minute news and notes type thing, which I'll be putting up on YouTube and the podcast. So make sure you guys are subscribed, leave a thumbs up, guys, and of course, subscribe to this #1 fantasy football podcast. The season is here. I'm beyond excited, okay? I will see you guys in the next video, and again, we're going the entire year long. You got to stay sharp on that wire. We'll talk soon. Thank you guys for being here, and again, I'm super excited. Texans, Chiefs, Going to be a big game, and we'll talk soon.